Story 1. The only way that seems to work for me is to go no contact. I block all social media accounts and phone numbers. Story 2. One thing that helped me was talking through my everyday plan aloud. For example, what will you do after reading this? And after that, what time are you going to go to bed? What are you going to do in the next 5 minutes? What time are you going to brush your teeth? How are you going to brush your teeth? Every time I felt my mind falling into deep thought, I had to catch myself and ask, what does my next 10 minutes look like? It's simple, but it forces me to keep thinking forward. Takes practice and time, but eventually you'll start to see the benefits. I got this from a book I read years ago called The One Thing. It mentioned that even small accomplishments you achieve in a day, regardless of how small they are, can bolster the joy of achievement and help you become more positive while looking towards the future. It helped me get through difficult times, including deaths, breakups, and infidelity. Story 3. It took a lot of time and self-reflection for me. I focused on rebuilding my confidence by surrounding myself with supportive friends and engaging in hobbies I love. Story 4. Maybe it's just me, but you will never fully heal from it. All you can do is learn from your mistakes in choosing that person and never make that kind of mistake again. In all seriousness, just go live your life. Show them you can be happier without them. Become the best version of yourself. Maybe consider therapy. Please don't let the next person know you are traumatized over cheating. You will have to build trust in your own way. However, if you harbor those negative emotions, it will only destroy any future relationship you have. Story 5. By realizing that they didn't cheat on me because I was not enough or something, but actually because they chose to. Story 6. Getting angry. Angry enough to channel it towards stepping forward. I blocked them, yes, but I received a lot of poor advice suggesting I should not feel anger, that it wasn't mature, or that I should forgive for my own sake. This advice implied that I was not supposed to feel angry and should suppress my true feelings about it. What actually healed me was getting angry enough to acknowledge that this was not my fault and that this person is not going to ruin my outlook on relationships. Forgiving them doesn't have to be the central focus of my healing process. Story 7. To understand, it's not about you or the reasons behind cheating. Some seek sexual validation, using sex to feel wanted and to boost their self-worth. They often struggle with low self-esteem and self-love. I recommend going completely no contact and finding someone with a more stable attachment style. Story 8. It has already been mentioned, but it's important to distance yourself from negativity. Spend time with friends or family doing things you enjoy. Time heals all wounds. Story 9. No contact. Block everything. Then start changing your mindset to understand that he cheated because there is something wrong with him, not you. Story 10. I heard a quote that goes, when you think of someone as being the one for you, do you think that person would cheat on you or simply not choose to be with you? If not, then they are not the one for you. Story 11. I agree with what someone mentioned about going no contact and allowing time for healing. No contact enables you to begin your healing process and learn to separate from that person. You need to be patient and give yourself the time required to fully move on. It took me about 2 years to let go completely. Those 2 years weren't miserable, but there were certain days when it felt particularly painful, and I would feel sad about it. All you can do is allow yourself to experience those emotions, and eventually the difficult days become less frequent. In my situation, they reached out a year later to apologize for their treatment, and I accepted the apology and moved on. No hard feelings. It just wasn't meant to be. Story 12. I got definitive proof through her phone. It gutted me but made it very clear I had been out of the picture for a long time and my wife and her boyfriend had lots of plans. I froze all banking and cards, changed all locks, turned her new car, which I had just bought for her months before, back in, bagged her belongings, and dropped it all off at her sister's. I got a lawyer and then sent her one email with the information she needed, most notably where to get her belongings and that her car was turned in. She was not to have any contact with me except through my lawyer. She tried contacting me for years through various means. I never responded to any. She deserved nothing, received very little in the divorce, and from what I hear has been living a chaotic life, changing towns, rentals, boyfriends, friends, jobs, and occasionally vehicles every few months. Story 13. No contact and time. Being petty by using their phone number and email to inquire online about considering changing auto and property insurance with a broker. Story 14. Immediately decenter the person. Identify their negative qualities and focus on them. The faster you detach from your feelings of affection, the better. Story 15. I consumed 2 cases of beer and attempted suicide. I received help, and it made a significant difference, particularly in the process of filing for access to my children. For clarity, she cheated on me and left before my second son's birthday, which is on Christmas Eve. She accused me of various types of abuse, including child abuse, sexual abuse, and financial exploitation. 6 years have passed, and I have only paid off $13,000 from a total of $70,000. Story 16. I have moved on. Of course, I still have occasional thoughts and unfortunately dream about them due to my loneliness, especially after seeing many couples and hearing my friends talk about their relationships. However, I do not want any type of relationship with them ever again. Took me 2 years to completely block them on everything. I'm not healed, though. She was my first love and my first in many ways. She will always hold that place in my heart, but the pain she inflicted on me feels like a mortal wound. It would take a miracle to heal a hurt so deep that it left part of me feeling dead after she cheated on me twice and discarded me like I was nothing. This is just another wound that will eventually heal and hopefully become a scar. Story 17. It took years, but I had to keep reminding myself that I wasn't the problem. She chose to cheat on me repeatedly and did a poor job of hiding it from the people around us. The moment a person chooses to cheat on their partner, the relationship is over. Keeping it secret is a way of maintaining the convenience that comes with having a partner. That's what I was to her. Convenient. Don't despair. You will survive this with time, but it will take time. Story 18. Honestly, even if you think you have moved on, you still haven't. Many things can trigger you, even the smallest details unrelated to the cheating itself. Surround yourself with people who understand and never judge you for what you've experienced. People who will protect you from everything, including yourself. Story 19. Move on and don't ask why if you don't know. A friend once told me it doesn't matter if you know why. If you get run over and someone backs up and says they didn't see you, it doesn't change the fact that you're still all hurt on the pavement. Story 20. I was in my 20s and looking back, it took me at least a year and a half to truly recover from the trauma. Many years later, I realized that I don't have 18 months to waste on feeling unwell. If it happened again, I believe I would bounce back much sooner. One other thing, don't expect karma to repay the cheater. They could have a better life without you. Focus on yourself and do your best to ignore the other person. Time is a valuable tool for recovery. Story 21. A practical answer is to invest in self-reflection in a positive space and learn to trust again, gradually. Story 22. I blocked her social media, quit my job, and moved away. Took me 2 years to heal from that. We were married and had been together for a decade. Story 23. Realizing after the 3rd time that it's not likely to ever change, I cut off all contact. Afterwards, I found a wonderful person with whom I have been for 43 years. Count my blessings. Having the opportunity to see what a truly amazing person my partner of 43 years is was made possible by the experience of a truly awful person who rejected me no less than 3 times before I finally smartened up. I might not have come to that conclusion without the negative experience. The difference was stark. Story 24. Rest assured, in due time and with space, you will simply stop caring more than you ever did. Time is the remedy, but start with space. Story 25. It wasn't easy, but I stopped trying to understand why and started focusing on who I wanted to become. I cut contact, cried a lot, picked up hobbies I had abandoned, and surrounded myself with people who reminded me I am worth loving. Healing didn't happen overnight, but every little choice to choose myself over the pain helped. Now, I am not angry anymore. I am just grateful I made it through. Story 26. Well, I knew a man named Jimmy, so I changed my name to Joe, confronted her, and went down to Mexico. No hangman put a rope on me. Now there's a song about it. Story 27. My hole healed eventually on its own, but it is not my concern if he was being unfaithful to his partner. I moved on when he became involved with another person. Story 28. Time and tides made her and the man she cheated with a joke to me. Decades later, I see them and feel sorry for them. Story 29. Remember that you are worth it. Love yourself. Treat yourself. Remind yourself how worthy you are of a good life. Story 30. I got cheated on by my wife. We dated for 6 years and were married for 3, totaling 9 years together. She cheated on me, and I found out quickly because her personality changed. I'll be completely honest. It's been about a year and a half, and I'm just now relaxing and getting better. It was rough at first. I wasn't mad or sad, just very angry at the world. I would work out every single day for 2 hours and feel no pain. Just recently, I toned it down to 1 to 1.5 hours every day of the week. I didn't do therapy. I just started doing things I've always wanted to do but wasn't able to because of my ex. I also got a golden retriever puppy, which is literally my ride or die. All in all, time heals all wounds. I didn't drink or do drugs. I just went to the beach a lot and enjoyed being alone. The hardest part was being alone at all times of the day, but now I can't imagine being with someone. For a long time, I had a hatred towards women. Story 31. I eventually felt bad for her. We tried to make things work, and we both fell deeper in love with each other afterwards, but I could never give myself fully to her the way she did to me. I left, and it broke her heart. I can honestly say that if she hadn't cheated, I would have stayed with her through everything. Tore mine into pieces to leave. Though there were other reasons why we eventually split, I imagine that knowing how her actions led to the breakup troubled her for a while. As I reflected post-relationship, I started to pity her. This feeling of pity helped ease my feelings of inadequacy and humiliation, which had lingered for years after what she did. I still miss her, and I wondered if I made the right choice for years before learning to move on. But I am mostly healed at this point. Story 32. I didn't block or remove his contact, but surprisingly, he blocked me everywhere and returned months later. I ignored all his messages and didn't even read them. Maintaining no contact, focusing on yourself, and pursuing your interests will help you move on faster. Therapy also helps a lot. Story 33. I will stop communicating with him and concentrate on work and myself. Additionally, I have not dated or engaged with anyone. Story 34. We were together for 9 years and married for 7. The first time she cheated, our son was 3. I blamed myself for not being a good partner. I tried to make it work to keep us together, but it lasted another 2 years before she cheated again. Do I regret not breaking it off the first time? Yes and no. But after the second time, I truly felt I did everything I could. I stopped blaming myself and recognized the normal problems people face in relationships. Could I have been better? Almost certainly. However, I never lied about being with someone else, and no matter my faults, I didn't deserve that. It still took time to heal and rebuild trust. I don't know if I will ever fully trust in the same way again. I've been with my wonderful wife for 18 years now, and even now, I occasionally feel those pangs. Was there a secret to getting over it? Learning from the experience. Even if I blamed myself in an unhealthy manner, it allowed for some self-reflection that I believe helped me grow into a better person. Story 35. Realize they do not care about you, and resolve not to care about them either. Whenever you have lingering doubts about this, remember some of the terrible things they did. We must move on. Pursue your interests, goals, and ambitions. Enjoy all the foods you like that they didn't. I will never give up broccoli again. Live your own life. Story 36. I have been cheated on multiple times, and now I have been avoiding any potential relationships for the last 20 years. Story 37. Block and have no contact. That being said, I realized I lost someone who cheats, and he lost someone who does not. I was not the loser in the end. Story 38. I am currently unsure how to navigate this situation. My girlfriend of the past 5 years has a child with her ex, and it seems she never truly stopped communicating with him. While I do not believe they are involved physically, she is certainly very attentive to him. When I confront her about it, she becomes extremely defensive. Ironically, if I attempted to have any sort of relationship with any of my exes, she would react very strongly and become upset. I cannot tolerate this hypocrisy. I genuinely feel she may be emotionally unfaithful. Although she may not be physically involved with him, she has not moved on from him since he ended their relationship. The way she speaks to him indicates that she still has feelings for him. I am trying to find my way out of this situation because I am done. A word of advice: do not date single mothers. Story 39. I am still dealing with her moving out of my apartment 2.5 months later. A part of me still misses who she was, but I also know that moving on is for the best. As much as I want to see her show up, apologize, turn everything around, and prove to me that she has changed, I know she won't. That's what hurts the most. Not so much what she did, but the fact that I know she will never change, at least not for me. Story 40. I don't think I've healed completely due to the nature of the relationship I had with him. I'm with someone new now who absolutely adores me and shows me love like I've never experienced before. However, it still hurts to think of the moments when I felt I was never enough. The comments I'm reading here are really useful. Story 41. Process the grief. I did so with the help of equine therapy. I was already shifting my mindset before the infidelity, and once the grieving was done, I returned to that path and actively chose happiness. I accepted the end of my marriage of 17 years and embraced everything good that came from both the marriage and the divorce. I focused on who I am and returned to the person I was before my marriage broke me down. I met someone who accepts me and appreciates me exactly as I am. They fill my life with joy, make me genuinely laugh, and look at me in a way I never experienced in my marriage. Story 42. She did more than just cheat, so it's difficult to simply get over. It has hardly happened since I broke up with her. But just today I thought of her and our earlier memories. I think what's helped me so far is knowing I may not have been perfect, but I did what I could to help her. Though it's not my fault for who she is. I should have realized long before what kind of person she was. But that's neither here nor there now. I blocked her on everything, deleted all her pictures, and removed whatever was tied to her. I returned everything to her on her birthday, which was coming up at the time. Yes, it's a little messed up, but it felt slightly good to ruin her one day like she did to me daily. It took a good 4 months to stop having those intense mixed feelings, and another 3 months of emotions just not as intense. I've moved on from her, but she damaged many things in me, and I'm still far from wanting to try again. Being hurt like that is painful. The only things you can do are distance yourself from the issue. Understand that both sides may not have been perfect, but it's not your fault for what they do, and give yourself time, most importantly. Whatever happened, you will get through it in the end. Story 43. He has a big ego. I used to chase after him a lot. Every time we went no contact, I would reach out again after a few days, and the cycle would just repeat. One day, though, I got lazy and distracted and didn't bother for some reason. Days turned into weeks, and as time passed, the rose-colored glasses began to fall away. I started to see all the things I had been tolerating. Weeks became months, and by then, I was completely disgusted by the whole situation. When he eventually reached out to me again, I did waver for a moment, but thankfully my friends reminded me of everything I had realized about our relationship. In the end, I saw him for what he really was, just an ordinary, uninteresting person after all. Story 44. By spending time alone to fall in love with yourself again and eliminating thoughts of inadequacy, you start to realize how great you are, and then you can move on. Story 45. No contact, block, and delete. I set some personal and career goals for myself and focused on the work needed to achieve them. Once I had something to work on, I didn't let negativity drag me down and just kept moving forward. I still get triggered, but it's a constant work in progress. Story 46. Finding another girlfriend was initially depressing, knowing they were happy while I felt miserable, especially during the first few months. However, I eventually realized how fortunate I was to avoid a bad situation by discovering her infidelity early on, before I proposed or spent excessive amounts of money on vacations. Story 47. It has been years, and I no longer think of him in any way, but it did rob me of my ability to trust new partners. Story 48. I spent a week drinking with my best friend, who I am grateful for listening to my rants. Story 49. Blame yourself for it and be harsh on yourself because it was your fault. Fall in love again after letting your guard down and get ghosted. Story 50. Being cheated on is easy for me. They made it abundantly clear I was never important. It is a mental illness to choose to do that. It is a form of self-harm. So it was never about me to begin with. Story 51. In the words of Lizzo, I walked out the door and never looked back. Negative people aren't worth my time or effort. Story 52. I didn't really care. If they cheat, it's just an early sign that the relationship wasn't going to work, and I can move on to someone new. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.